Hello everyone and welcome back to another supplement for Shadow Man. We're going to proceed to one of the more interesting parts of the guide this time around, Chapter 3, Enemies and Serial Killers. And as you can see, the first page of the chapter is quite ornately detailed and decorated. We have the artwork of the asylum on the back. In the lower left we have the symbols of the 5. And there's quite a few things scratched about on this page, like the Day of Judgment on the bottom right, as well as a mugshot of somebody, a prison inmate judging from the clothes. Of course, since I have played the game, I know that this guy is the Lizard King, actually. The one who is preparing the way. The millennium shall be upon us, and abject terror inscribed upon his visage. Alright. Let's begin by turning the page, and we begin with the enemies, the gators. As you can see, the life-side enemies are quite few in number, and both of these enemy types are located in Louisiana Bayou. So, first up, the gators. At the time of this recording, I should note that I have met the gators, although I don't know when I will be uploading this video, so it is what it is. According to this, though, feature the Louisiana swamps, these natural predators go about their business unless provoked. They are fiercely territorial and will ward off any intruder by advancing on them if their space is invaded, setting upon Mike with savage close-range bite attacks. Only if severely damaged will gators retreat from their attackers. So in other words, they behave like common enemies in video games. If you stray close, they will attack you. Then we have the dogs, in their natural state, as well as their unmasked state, so to speak. These will generally stick to a specific territory unless alerted by either line of sight or noise to an intruder's presence. If they do in fact become alerted, they will attempt to seek out and attack the intruder with leaping bite attacks. If seriously damaged, they will attempt to flee. Although, there's no escape from death. And now to the more interesting parts, something that will help both you and me to identify the enemies we meet in Deadside, because I don't remember all the names of the enemies we have encountered up till now, and we will be encountering in the future. So, first up, Deadsiders. The Deadsiders are manifestations of ordinary people who have died and now spend their afterlives in the endless misery that is Deadside. They roam aimlessly throughout Deadside, unwitting experimentation subjects for the surgeons. The Deadsiders appear as little more than walking cadavers, some still carrying fresh autopsy scars, while others are more putrefied and decomposed. Some have lost limbs or sustained other horrific injuries, indications of what may have brought them to Deadside in the first place. Whatever their appearance, however, they are wretched and damned, wailing, huddled masses seeking comfort or a momentary respite from eternal desolation. But be wary. These monsters have been dead for so long that they'll attempt to drain your life force any chance they get. Having spent so much time in Deadside, apparently, they cling to any life force source they can find, so they drain Shadowman's life force. And up next, Duppies. So Duppies are a general group of enemies? Dupes are basically Deadsiders that didn't quite make it in their transition. They're twisted and malevolent beings with keener senses and worse attitudes. Okay, so first up, Bicephalods. This deformed little sucker doesn't move fast like the bipedal zombie, but it has an extra mouth to feed, which also means an extra set of teeth. Long-range attacks are quite disgusting with the hurling of loogies, while close-range attacks include vicious biting. The heads, of course, are flayed, because why wouldn't they be? And next up is the zombie. These are those fuckers flailing about the wastelands. So, taller, faster, and more powerful than your regular Deadsider, these monstrosities can be found scavenging the Deadside landscape. Unlike Deadsiders, however, zombies aren't blind. If they spot Shadowman, they'll go for him. They're relentless killers, but not too bright. Outrun them far enough, and they'll lose interest in the chase. Zombies' long-range attacks are brought on by hooking loogies, while at close range, the zombie are all claws. Either way, be careful. If finished with a shadow gun, they'll yield a small amount of life force energy, which is a rule that applies to all enemies in this game. And say hello to the Sisters of Blood. The Sisters of Blood are dead-side warriors whose mission is to protect the Govi and keep them confined within the voodoo temples. They have slept within the temples for countless centuries, guarding Govi, Gad, the Poin, and all other sorts of voodoo weapons. The sisters fight with magic and use their powers of levitation to their advantage. First up is the Acolytes, clad in yellow. The lowest order of the sisters, the Acolytes attack by firing arcs of magic. One step up is the Adepts. The next step up in the order of the sisters, Adepts attack by firing spinning crescent-shaped magics that rebound off the walls. And most dangerous of them all are the Matriarchs. The most powerful level of the sisterhood, Matriarchs attack with long-range deflecting magic assaults. They have no limit to where they can fly, which makes these females extremely deadly. An interesting note down at the bottom there is that in the N64 version of the game there are no visual differences between the three sisters. Each one is as nasty as the next. This is probably due to the cartridge size limitations of the time. In addition to the reduced texture size compared to the PC version, there had to be other concessions that had to be made, such as compressed audio, although apparently they did manage to put in all of the audio in the game, both voices and music. But cutbacks like these were apparently inevitable. Still, it's quite a feat to think about it, thinking that they fit a CD's worth of a game inside, what, 32 megabyte cartridge, I think? Ah, here's a Deadwing. Although I don't think that the Deadwing should be classified with the Sisters of Blood. Anyway, Deadwings are just plain monstrous. Whether picking at the corpses and landscape wounds of Deadside, screaming down on their ragged membranous wings, or dealing out vicious swooping claw attacks, the best advice for Shadow Man is simple. Best avoid these critters, or at least find a good hiding place to snipe at them. Also, don't get too used to seeing these flying terrors high in the sky. Later in the game, at higher shadow levels, they'll come swooping down. Thus far though, we've seen them annoying us from afar, and the undead piranhas actually have a name, the Deadfish. If there were ever a reason not to go swimming in Deadside, this is it. The Deadfish are hideous zombie mutations that scavenge the blood lake beds for morsels of rotting flesh. When not swimming about in search of sustenance, this form of reanimated sushi can be found attached to floors, walls, and even the ceilings of underwater caverns, secretly awaiting the passage of unsuspecting aquanauts. I do enjoy the juxtaposition of the gruesome and the funny in the descriptions of the enemies here. And now we move on to the more disturbing denizens of the game, the asylum inmates. First up, the brutals. There are 3 types of brutal on patrol at any given time. So the name of this green guy is the Hookman. The Hookman carried 2 large ice hooks for dealing with pesky intruders. Their close-range attacks necessitate attacking these come from afar. Indeed. Next up is the Guard. The Guards are considerably deadlier than their brethren and are posted at key points around the asylum. Equipped with long-range weaponry, the Guards are predetermined patrol routes and will continually scan for intruders. Be careful. And then we have the Organ Grinder, the Chainsaw Maniac. The Organ Grinder utilizes a chainsaw-like device to attack and carries a huge hunk of raw meat as a shield. Should you attack from the front, the Organ Grinder will use said hunk of meat to shield himself. If you actually throw him enough damage to destroy the shield, he'll attack you with head-on rushes that will do nasty damage. Next up is the Surgeon. The Surgeons, however, are much more deadly than their hulking counterparts. They scrabble about the dead side, extracting dark souls from captured Govi and transplant them into the mutant monstrosities that inhabit the asylum, creating immortal true-form creatures. Much more elegant, agile and precise than the brutal, the Surgeons have decidedly more wicked ways of taking care of you. Armed with a surgical blade in one hand and a needle-spitting injection gun in the other, the Surgeons make the brutals look like a flower bed of pansies. And here we have another disturbing sight, the Dogman. Essentially a cowardly guard dog, this hybrid asylum experiment will not attack unless approached or attacked. Unfortunately, the Dogman can create quite a racket, which in turn will draw more powerful enemies to deal with, unless the Dogmen are dispatched quickly and quietly. I will have to comment that I don't know if this was perhaps some kind of plan for the game, for the Dogmen to attract nearby denizens of the asylum by barking or something like this, but this doesn't happen in the game, at least not that I've ever noticed. And here we have the true forms. The true forms are the fruits of the Surgeons' tinkering, the end result of the mutant and dark soul combinations. The true forms are giant killing machines designed to form the core of Legion's apocalyptic army. Exclusive to the asylum, they are most definitely your worst nightmare. Found in the holding pens, the true forms await the call to enter liveside and take over the world. They are huge, super tough, and extremely lethal. Pick away at them with whatever weapon you wish, but they must be finished with a shadow gun, of course. We have to extract the soul from them in order to kill them. And here we have the mastermind of all this, Legion himself. Legion is the ultimate form of evil from beyond the dead side. It is the power of Legion that has brought all the dead and destitute creatures into this place known as the Asylum. By luring Shadowman to the Asylum filled with dark souls, Legion will attempt to usher in the apocalypse and bring about an end to all that is known. Unless we put a stop to him. And say hello to the five. First up, Jack the Ripper. This notorious killer from years past prowls the London underground, preying upon lone travelers who wander the tube stations at night. Mike will have to contend with this antagonist among the labyrinthine and Victorian sewers that comprise London's underground. Claustrophobic, twisted passageways and tunnels are Jack's playground, and Mike will need all of his wits to survive this twisted megalomaniac. Jack tends to lunge out from dark shadows before darting back the way he came, so be careful. If attacked, Jack will counter with a knife with Mike's name on it. And here we have Dr. Victor Batrachian, aka Dr. Death. Hannibal Lecter's got nothing on this guy. A certified psycho who now has the benefit of being immortal, Batrachian is a highly meticulous killer who uses only a nightstick to achieve his murderous goals. You'll encounter this maniac awaiting for you in the electric chair at the end of the level. It's a head-to-head fight he wants. Whether it's time to go after this particular killer, it would be best to watch your back. Valor was never one of his stronger points. And third up is Marco Cruz, aka the Repo Man. This auto-impaired psycho makes his home in one of the courtyards of the prison. Marco's weapons include a piston and an electric cattle prod. I believe it's a pistol, not a piston. Quite a few grammatical mistakes in this guide. He's really smart despite being insane and will hide and taunt you from concealment. Approach with caution. And here we have the Freak, Avery Marks, aka the Canary Killer, otherwise known as the Home Improvement Killer. A skinny freak who calls an abandoned tenement his home, Avery Marks was at one time a serial rapist and bird feeder. Avery will typically attack with a flurry of knife-centric slashes that will attempt to dismember Mike, and as if that weren't enough, Marks makes an annoying habit of teleporting around the building before dropping from the ceiling at various locations, trying to ambush Mike by surprise. No one will miss this nutcase when he's gone. Menace to society for sure. And finally, Milton T. Pike, aka Jim Bowie. Absorbed by conspiracy theories and a militant attention to detail, Milton Pike is a psycho ex-marine who's made his home in a cell block of the prison. Having dug himself into the cell block, Milton will attempt to keep you at bay with a machete, an M16 and a healthy supply of hand grenades. Due to his natural durability and toughness, Milton doesn't teleport all over the place like his sissy brethren do. Instead, he just takes whatever it is you dish out in the arrogant belief that he can outlast you. Time to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Stamina is the key here. Now, I don't know if there's any difference in the actual hit points of the serial killers when we fight them, because, well, during the actual fights, it's quite hectic, and it's kill or be killed. I have no time to be paying attention to that kind of detail. Now, the final note on the serial killers. While in the role of Michael, the serial killers will remain in their human guises most of the time, but occasionally Mike will catch glimpses of their true forms, hideous monstrosities from the realm of Deadside. Sometime long ago, 5 dark souls were sent across from Deadside, which ended up giving these serial killers immortality. Shadowman's mission is to defeat these homicidal maniacs using the shadow gun to reclaim the dark souls they once stole. Or perhaps were gifted with. In any case, I think this is it for now. So, thank you very much for watching this supplement, and I hope to see you in the next part, where we move on to level walkthroughs, although not the complete walkthroughs, but we will be taking a look at things of interest inside the guide. Till then, as always, take care.